So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to know when a particular friendship has expired. As hard as it is, this friendship no longer serves you, and it probably doesn't serve the other person either. They might not be aware of that fact, but it's probably the case. That this friendship is there's no longer that compatibility between the two of you, and it's better off for you to go your separate ways. And I was just writing about this now, and I feel like a surprising amount of emotion coming up. It's kind of difficult to talk about, and I'll tell you why that is. I think it's because I'm coming at this topic from maybe a different angle to other people. And the reason for that is, there was a time in my life where I was so desperate for authentic friendship and connection with people. For a couple of years at school, I was really just drifting between different groups, but never really settling, never really feeling like I found people who I could truly call friends. And I didn't have really high standards for friends. Like, I've been friends with people who mistreated me in the past, who you could say bullied me. But I was so desperate for at least the appearance of having a group of friends. Because I'd been that kid who just kind of hung around school on his own and had no one. So I guess what I'm saying is, for me to now reach the point where I can turn down people's advances for friendships and end friendships that have already been established, it's kind of been a journey for me. I know these are the things that maybe any self-respecting person would approve of, but it's been quite a journey for me. So I'll start by saying that I came to this realization that I'm not supposed to be friends with everyone. And it took a while for me to reach that point, because after this period of kind of really having no proper mates, I was getting out there and really socializing, and it finally started clicking for me, getting my confidence up and being more social, going along to more events, meeting like lots of different types of people. I went through this period of like, I want to be friends with every person. I want to have 100 friends. I want to have a different group for every night of the week. And I continued that into university and going to different parties and stuff. And I loved the idea of having a million different social circles. And I thought the more friends I had, that's status, that's something other people don't have. That's something I didn't used to have, and it felt good. But I guess what I realized was a lot of those relationships were what you call a mile wide, but an inch deep. There was no real substance to them. I didn't really feel like I had a connection. A lot of them were just kind of like party people you bump into on a night out. More acquaintances than friends, really. And then from there, I went from like kind of only focusing on people who I believed had good values, or, people who were ambitious. I joined lots of online groups when I started doing YouTube. I wanted to meet people who wanted to become entrepreneurs, and I refused to hang out with people who seemed like they weren't taking life that seriously. And that's kind of what I'm leading to. So I had this kind of whole epiphany when it came to a couple of friends who, on paper, they're very good people. Not even just on paper. I know for a fact they're good people. They've got good morals, good values. they're hardworking, they're ambitious, you know, they want to go and accomplish things, they want to do things with their life. But does that necessarily make them good friends? On paper, yes. It seems like they'd be a good candidate to be friends with. You know, this is someone who, maybe I'm looking at it from the perspective, they can do something for me one day. They're a good person to have in my network. But I was watching this YouTuber called Null of Knowledge. Really good YouTuber. He makes like social skills and mental health videos. And I'm on his like email list. So I had this email from him one time. And he mentioned something, and it really, really spoke to me on this specific topic. And he said, if you want to know if someone's a true friend, forget all of this on paper type stuff. Is this person driven? Do they have good values? Are they ambitious? You know, would they make sense to be friends with? Forget all that. And it's going to sound really simple, but is this someone who you can laugh with? Is this someone who you leave feeling energized and genuinely good for like a whole week after having seen them? Someone you can like really let the real version of you out around. Nothing feels like it's pretending. And reading that, it kind of floored me. Like I felt this massive weight lift off my shoulders, and it occurred to me that there's all these different people I've been networking with who I've decided, you know, I need to invest time in this relationship. And we meet up and we play like pretend entrepreneurs, and there were friends in the background, friends from school, like some of my closest friends who I'd been maybe ignoring, hadn't seen for like 6 months, because maybe some part of me in the back of my head had decided, you know, they're not taking life seriously. You know, they're going down the pub, drinking on the weekend or whatever. And I am the sum of the 5 people I hang around with. And I want to be a millionaire. But those people understand me. Those people are the only ones that I truly feel like I can laugh and let loose around. We can be making jokes, and these could be the most childish, juvenile jokes, but we're just in fits of laughter within like 10 minutes of meeting up. Even people who I haven't seen in a long time, it's like we just pick straight back up where we left off. It doesn't feel like any effort. It doesn't feel like I'm putting on a character. And more than that, something I'd say I can only do with my best friends is I could sit there in silence with them. Could sit there in silence for hours and not feel the need to say anything. To feel like we can kind of just exist around one another. I feel like that's the sign of a really valuable friendship. Someone who's got your back. And those are the ones we should be trying to protect. And based on this, I kind of had to make some quite difficult calls and end friendships with people who they've not done me any wrong, and they're good people, and I took good things away from our friendship, but I was pretending around them. This friendship was based on kind of like a transaction, really. What we can do for each other, rather than just mutual enjoyment and being able to share laughs and just to be clear, this isn't necessarily the fault of any of these people. It's just, I'm reluctant to say it's from me, because a friendship is always like, it's always a two-way thing. It's got to work for both people, but some people just aren't compatible on that level. And I guess having gotten a bit older and not having the privilege of seeing my best friends every day, you've got to protect your time. And you can be ambitious, you can have targets, but I feel like I don't want to leave behind. That sounds awful, leave behind. Because that's like assuming I'm coming from like a place of superiority to my other friends or whatever. But I don't want to exclude the people from my life who I do feel that genuine connection with. So I guess that's what I wanted to talk about. This barometer for friendships. Do you actually feel like you can laugh with this person? Could you sit together in silence for hours at a time and have it feel normal? Do you feel like you're pretending? Do you feel like you're performing around this person? If not, I think this is a relationship, a friendship that you should protect, because friends like that don't come around all the time. Take care, man. See you in the next one.